Hey guys, Aaron with MouldofSteel here, and today we're going to go around our kind of our area, and they're doing these big community rummage sales. So we're just kind of going out and seeing what we got. So let's go take a look.
Hey there, eBay enthusiasts. Welcome back to MouldofSteel. Today we have an exciting topic to discuss that I'm sure will ignite your entrepreneurial spirit. In this video, we're going to go ahead and dive into the world of rummage sales and exploring the art of sourcing items for your eBay business. Now, I will tell you, whether you're a seasoned seller or just starting out, rummage sales can be, not always, but can be a gold mine of hidden treasures waiting to be discovered. So go ahead, grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and join me in our fun adventure this morning as we go ahead and see if we can find any interesting items that we're able to sell on eBay. Not to mention, I'm going to go ahead and share a bunch of valuable tips and strategies for sourcing items from rummage sale to help you find eBay success. So in our neighborhood, as Aaron started out by telling us, they are doing a whole community. Now this is probably about it was a little bit of a drive for us, but not horrible. But in this community, they did a full rummage sale, and I would say out of maybe 50 houses, easily 40 of them, 45 of them. So it almost felt a little bit like trick or treat, but for adults with rummage sales. It was kind of odd because literally we would go from driveway to driveway, just like trick or treat, kind of looking through what the neighborhood had to offer. Now, I'm going to be very honest, there are a lot of items that maybe people picked them up at the Dollar Tree or they did whatever, and they just sort of had them and they put them out because they didn't want them anymore. There were a lot of baby things, which you're always going to find. One of the things that we really try and focus on is things that are shippable. Now, off to the left-hand side, there's an amazing castle and a pirate ship. If my kids were smaller, I probably would have bought that for them in a heartbeat. We had the castle at one point, and Aaron had it listed. This was a really cool carriage with all the horses and everything. But that castle, we actually had one of those that we recently sold. And the thing that literally killed it was the amount of money it cost to ship the item to the customer. Now, the customer did pay for that shipping, but because it was so high because of the weight of that product, we didn't make as much as we probably could have. And we tried to do some local online with it, but it really didn't go because obviously, as you can see, a lot of people in this neighborhood already have it, right? So although it was very cool, we don't have kids that were little enough to enjoy it. And we really try to watch for items that, like I said, are shippable. All right, so as promised, I want to go ahead and give you some great tips for sourcing at rummage sales. Now, it's one of our favorite things to do because, one, I get out, we get some walking done. It has been a great year and a half. I have really been working on finding ways to get exercise in, to, watch my meals, stuff like that. So sourcing all of these rummage sales is a great form of exercise. So number one, even if you're kind of like, should we do it? It's a great tip. Just go out, get some fresh air, hang out with, someone who you love to shop with. The other thing too is take stock of what you already have at home. Think about what items align with your store, or what things are you used to seeing and selling. So when I say that, what I mean is that if you have never tried to sell a certain product before, be a little leery, be cautious of what you spend the money on, right? Because if it's an item where you're like, well, I think maybe, be careful because you might not know if it's a fake or if it's not, the quality that it should be. And that can really end up being something that then ends up staying in your house. Now, side note, what I will say is if you've never gone out sourcing before, I would say take a first stab at your basement, right? Because how many of us have stuff in our basement that really just needs to be sold? Now, I do want to add a side note. I don't know what these people were doing, but they had tons of games. They had a whole carnival event. Tons of scrapbook paper, office supplies, very interesting items. So if you were going to be running an event, that could have been a great, thing to look for. But I would definitely start by looking in your basement first. That was a real Coach purse, and it was pretty gnarly on the inside, which is why we passed on it. Otherwise, we would have considered it. But definitely go look there first. Try and clear out your own before you bring more stuff home, because you don't want an episode of hoarders in your home. It won't be good for your family. It won't be good for you. You'll be frustrated with it. And then you're not really doing what you want to do by clearing stuff out, by selling it. You'll be just kind of holding on to all this stuff that you don't need to. The other thing I'm going to tell you, so the next thing of importance is when you are sourcing at rummage sales, arrive early. Even though they might say they open at 8, sometimes we've gotten there like 10 or 15 minutes early. And I'll be honest, sometimes we're not even the first people there, right? So you can see we're getting, this guy here, he's racing us. But, get there early, be ready to go. And if there are places, like if you see it on Facebook where they're advertising and you can see some items, you might be able to get a good idea of what is there. The next thing I'm going to tell you, and this is something that, we're not really as used to anymore, right, is bring cash and bring it in small denominations. You're able to negotiate prices better. So, for example, if they tell you t-shirts are $2 a piece, and there's some really great ones, you might be able to say, how about three for $5? And a lot of times, because they're not paying eBay fees, they're not paying PayPal fees, they're not paying, any other sorts of fees. This is just truly cash for item. A lot of times they'll negotiate with you. Now, some people might not, and you know what? That's okay. And if you feel like they're not going to negotiate and you don't want to budge, it's okay to walk away and leave the items. Next thing you want to do is look for unique or one-of-a-kind items that might have a higher resale value. We found a bunch of things, but they were heavier, and so we kind of opted not to choose them. We haven't had a lot of success when items are too heavy to ship. So look for things that might be like a one-of-a-kind or a rare. If you find like Funko Pops, look for some of the rare ones, or if they say Chase on them, that can be a huge win for you depending on the Funko Pop. Don't forget to look through items and watch for damages or defects, because obviously this is not like a store where you can take it back and return it. You buy it, it's yours. So be sure to check for that. And if it's an item that you think might need to be plugged in, ask them if you can plug it in and check it out, right? The other thing is to focus on items that are in demand and popular with eBay buyers, right? So if you go on and some of these things, now you're not in a store, so you should have cell phone access to look some of these things up. It's okay to do that, right? I mean, it's your right. And if they're like, hey, stop looking that up, well, you probably don't want to buy from them anyway, right? See if you can get them to bulk deals or discounts. Sometimes, like I said before, like if you say, hey, these shirts are $2 a piece, would you take $5 for these 3? They might go, oh, sounds good. Negotiate prices tactfully. Some people, you've got to remember this is stuff that may be personal to them, or they might have some memories tied to it. Even though they're willing to sell it, they still might think like, oh, I got that from so-and-so, or oh, I got that from this person. Even though they're selling it, sometimes, being tactful can really get you a much farther advantage. The other thing that Erin and I have found is that you might want to consider purchasing items that do need some little bit of repair or cleaning. We were actually on this first part of this trip, we were out pretty much all day, and so I have extra videos coming where it will actually show us kind of buying some stuff and a little bit more. But this was where we started our morning. We found shoes, we found cleats that need to be cleaned, and if you've watched this channel before, you know that my husband is not afraid to clean those shoes or do what it takes. He found some great stuff that just needs to be fixed. If you can go in and fix it slightly, it might be worth more money, and you might be able to resell it a little bit higher. The other thing is, don't forget to bring your cell phone. Make sure it is charged and ready to go. Find a price checking tool that you can look up the items before you make a purchase. So whether that be eBay or Marketplace or wherever you're used to selling. But whatever you do, just make sure you're not like, oh, hey, this item's worth blah, 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 right? Because then they're like, oh, cool, we'll charge you more for it. right? So, you're looking for the best deal, and obviously they're looking to clean out stuff in their house. Definitely you will start to develop an eye for the items that seem valuable that may be overlooked by others. You can see Aaron found some shoes in great shape, not too bad. And they had already been, I want to say we already had at least an hour into this by this point. So they had been seen and ignored. They're a great size that he found too. I think they were size 11. Okay, I just have to take a side note and tell you, I'm so bummed that this shirt wasn't one size, just a little bit bigger. I have that shirt in red, and I love it. It is literally my favorite shirt. Go, Pat, go! Right, but a little bit of Star Wars there. Love that shirt. I just wish it would have been just a little bit bigger. I like comfy shirts. But, we go to the bins a lot. We go to other areas. So sometimes clothing we can get a better price. Although, if you can find made in America, original, nice quality items, don't be afraid to pay just a tad bit more than you would at like the bins or something, because you might be able to get a great return on it. The other thing to watch for is watch for items that seem quality. A lot of times what I like about rummage sales is this could be stuff that had been passed down. Now, I'm not saying that items are not made well anymore, but I do feel like a lot of items are being made a little bit cheaper than they used to be. And you might be able to find some older lamps or tables or chairs or desks or anything like that that might have a better price or a better quality that you wouldn't necessarily find in a resale kind of situation.
I see a barn.
A what? Oh, and the whole house.
Yeah, and the hospital.
And the people.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I got all that stuff downstairs.
Yeah, super expensive. Not terrible, but
Look at this sense.
it's nice to see the barn with actually the silo.
Right.
Does it move? You gotta hear it move. I'm sorry, that's the whole point of the thing, right?
There was a guy this morning, he came and he showed me that very thing, the barn thing.
Yeah.
And he said, I had one just like this when I was a kid. I put my fish to sleep in the hay loft with a blanket. And then I couldn't wake him up. It was so funny.
That's so sad and kind of strange. Like
That kind of went dark fast.
that did go a little dark kind of fast. Now, can you imagine the poor mom who walked in and was like, "Where's your fish?"
His sister.
Oh.
He said he went to his sister and said, who was a little bit older, and said, I can't wake up, whatever.
The fish's name.
The fish.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she's like, what happened?
Wow.
I can't put a fish in that.
You think he owns fish to this day? Right. There you go. He probably does take better care of it.
I had to throw that in because we laughed so hard. It was so funny. It was just a crazy story, and seeing all of those vintage toys, it's so much fun. Like, that's one of the things that I love seeing. And it's so funny because you can tell when these families had children, whether it was like 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, what it was, based on the kid toys that are still kind of hanging out and about. One of the things we do always watch for, Jim Shore Disney stuff sells really well. The other thing that sells really well that we love to watch for is Department 56. Those are those Christmas houses that you might see. And a lot of people aren't necessarily looking for the houses, but they're looking for all the little people and the little sets that go with them. Last summer, we actually found a couple of them in a rummage sale. And it was the last day of the sale, and I think we got them, I don't know, I think we got like 5 of them, and they were like $10. They gave them for like $10. It was nothing. And so we were like, oh, okay, we'll take them all. And I ended up turning around and selling one of them for $70, like within a day or two. So definitely look for those as well. And some of the Christmas ornaments or knickknacks, it really just depends. It's got to be kind of a specific market, but don't be afraid to look through that. The other thing that we have found that does really well is crafting items. Now, I own my own rubber stamp company. I design, draw rubber stamps. So I'm always on the lookout for crafting items or stuff that I can use for my company. And, you know, a lot of that stuff does have pretty good resale just because it costs so much to buy it to begin with. So like $3 for a huge pack of paper, that's a great deal. Lots of Stampin' Up, and they had those pretty close to what I've seen them online for, you know, $3 to $7. So not horrible, but I probably in this situation, if I would have been interested in any of them, would have probably tried to bundle, like, hey, can I take, you know, if they were $7 a piece there, right? You know, I might try and see if I can get 4 of them for 20, just to see. They might say no, and then maybe go, how about 3 for 20? Not that I saved a lot, but a little bit. But it really just depends. There's a lot of that little chicken, adorable. The big thing really is to keep an inventory list or take photos of the items purchased. It will help you track your investments. And I know it might sound crazy. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll actually track all of this stuff to kind of see consistencies. And typically on eBay, I'll actually go and pull every month what were the items people purchased and what were the highest number of things that people marked that they were watching. Now with rummage sales, like we talked about before, they could be called, you might see something called a yard sale or garage sale, treasure trove of unique potential items for profit. So in here, obviously being able to negotiate prices, spotting those valuable items, it doesn't matter if you are a thrifty bargain hunter or an experienced reseller. You know, it's really good to get yourself comfortable with the items you're comfortable selling, if that makes sense. So take the time, prepare yourself. Don't try to rush in and think that you're just going to start buying a ton of things and they're all going to sell. You know, you really want to be strategic because the last thing you want to do is go spend a bunch of money that then now you have more product that just hangs out and lives in your basement rather than the people that you purchase them from their basements, right? I can tell you, sometimes we do great. And sometimes, like this first part of our video, I'm going to be really honest, we did not do that great. You know, a lot of the items were too big to resale, or they were items that we don't need in our house. Small shout out, this guy did amazing work on his floor. And I don't know if you can see it, but up on his walls, he did reclaimed wood of different shades and colors and patterns. It was gorgeous in his garage. Like, his garage was great. Now, one thing you may want to watch for, like I'm paused here for a second, there's a lot of Hallmark ornaments. Sometimes those can do really well, but I would highly encourage you to go and know which ones you want to sell. We've bought some where they sit forever and then all of a sudden they sell. So know that some of the Hallmark ornaments eventually will sell, but they could sit for a long time. But like I was saying before, we did okay on this first part of this video. We were kind of disappointed just because, you know, it felt like everything was very sparse. But I mean, it was good. We got out, we got a walk, we got some items to sell, and let's go ahead and pick up the first 2 items right now.
All right. Yeah. Okay. No, Disney Twister. That's funny. It's like Disney Twister. That's fun. I don't think it's put your hand on Epcot. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Hey, clowns. No, I'm just kidding. It's a cool painting. Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, $5. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
We need to go get our IKEA bag.
Right.
We got one in the trunk. We keep forgetting to grab it so we can weigh all our stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for tuning to our channel today. Here at MouldofSteel, we really do appreciate you. And if you found this video helpful or any of these tips are something that you might try, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated for all of our future eBay related content, as well as DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Instacart. But until next time, happy sourcing and happy selling on eBay. Take care, everybody.